What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Dark Previews, and man, am I excited. We got a 4-game slate. That's a whole lot of plays to get through. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the bets that I have. There's a lot of them, plus all the other leans. If that sounds interesting, let's go. All right, so this is one of the largest slates we've seen in quite some time, and damn did I feel it when I was researching all of these plays. I've taken a whole lot of notes. I'll be sharing the leans. Leans meaning I have not bet on them, but I was close to. And I'll also share the bets that I have taken. We'll kick it off with Sky versus Sun. Now, if it's your first time checking out my channel and the things that I do, I'm sharing my screen. We're going through Outlier. Outlier is my go-to destination to find all the data that I need to make these picks. You can check out Outlier with a 7-day free trial. That's in the video link below. So we're looking at the Chicago Sky versus the Connecticut Sun. I'd say two of the more defensive teams. So it may not be a high-scoring game, but I'm sure there's still some value to be had. The first play that I want to take you through is for Angel Reese. Angel Reese having an excellent rookie season. I've been somewhat impressed, especially watching her last couple of games. She's really developing nicely. Still misses a whole lot of layups, but that mid-range is coming along nicely. Rebounds like a beast. Doesn't tend to make such bad decisions. Just doesn't have that touch quite yet. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, but hopefully I don't like what I see from her in this upcoming set because I'm taking her under 12.5 rebounds. This is a bet that I've already placed. It's already been sent out to all of my members, but the under 12.5 boards for Angel Reese. Man, firstly, this play is going to be sweatier than my balls on an Australian summer, meaning it's going to be sweaty as fuck. Taking the under on the league's leading rebounder. But why are we doing that? That's because this is a tough matchup here for Angel Reese. The Sun, they do allow the least rebounds overall and the least rebounds to the forward position. They've also done well to limit Angel Reese on the glass in the 2 games they've had so far this season, holding her to 5 and 10 rebounds. Now, I wouldn't take this bet purely because of those numbers, but it does give me a starting point to start looking. I did watch the games, went back, watched the last 2 games between these 2 teams, and I noticed it very quickly in both games why she went under her rebounds. On defense, Angel Reese, she's lining up against Dewana Bonner. Now, Bonner plays a lot on the perimeter, which is going to limit Angel Reese's opportunities for defensive rebounds. And you can see it here. If we break down her rebounds in the last 2 games, she had 2 defensive rebounds in the first game, 6 defensive rebounds in the second, and she was playing 33 and 36 minutes. Now, this is somebody on the season. She is getting 7.3 defensive rebounds per game. So in these matchups against the Sun, limiting her to 4, which is almost half. And that's purely because she's defending Bonner a majority of the time. And on offense, Alyssa Thomas is her key defender. Jeez, I butchered her name. Alyssa Thomas is her key defender. She also happens to be the top rebounder from the Connecticut Sun. Now, Angel Reese has still been a beast on the offensive side of things. 8 offensive rebounds in the 2 games, but it's a little bit lower than her season average as well. So limiting her defensive rebounds especially should keep her under this line of 12.5. Well, I certainly hope so. The next pick within this game, actually, this is a lean that I have right now. It's a lean, so I have not bet this one, but I was close to. And we're looking at my girl, Dejanay Carrington. I'm looking at over 11.5 points. Now, if you think about Dejanay Carrington, the way that she scores and how she suits this matchup, does like to score in transition and gets to the free throw line very well. The Sky rank near the bottom of the league in defending these play types. She should see decent minutes in this game, as I think she's going to be the key defender on Kennedy Carter. The risk in this play for me, though, is that her new mate, Mabry, is up against her old team. And sometimes that makes players a little bit more aggressive on offense. And if Mabry is aggressive on offense, that's going to limit opportunities for Carrington. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a risk that I foresee. The next play, this initially started as a lean, and the more I thought about it and sat on it, then I eventually bet it. So looking at Brianna Jones, over 13.5 points. Pretty decent odds for this one. Close to plus money, depending on where you take the bet. Now, Brianna Jones, her matchup is not too bad here. She scores a lot of her points in the restricted area. The Sky, they rank in the bottom 2 in the league. The restricted area is that little semicircle right into the basket. The Sky, not great at defending there. And Brianna Jones does a great job scoring in the paint. Now, Brianna Jones, she's covered this line of 13.5 points in both games against the Chicago Sky this season. When I watched the film, she actually scored quite a bit on open mid-range jumpers. Cardosa, she don't want to move her feet. She's not getting out to Brianna Jones, so having some success there. And Alyssa Thomas driving, dishing, dropping it off to Brianna Jones to make some easier layups. Now, similar types of bigs have had a lot of success against the Sky this season, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see Brianna Jones chip in another 15 points. It's pretty straightforward, very simple. The data looks nice. I've seen the film. Provided things, they don't drastically change the way that they play, then I think Brianna Jones is a good look. Next one is a lean, and this lean is for Alyssa Thomas, and we're looking at rebounds and assists for Alyssa Thomas. Where's she at? Here it is. 17.5, and we're looking at the under. Now, Alyssa Thomas has failed to exceed 17.5 rebounds and assists in 5 out of her last 6 games at home. At home, she's only averaging 15.7 rebounds and assists, and that's with that last game against the Spark included, where she had 16 rebounds and 8 assists. Her average over a home game still only 15.5. She's also under in 5 consecutive games against the Chicago Sky. You can see it right here. 2 games this season, 12 and 11. She does pick up Angel Reese defensively, so boxing out is her main priority. She doesn't necessarily chase rebounds. Keeping Angel Reese out of the paint, it seems to be what she's doing in these sets of games. The Sky, in terms of matchup, they also rank 4th for assists allowed to forwards this season, and they've also done well to limit her numbers on assists. The risk for this play is that Alyssa Thomas is an absolute fucking beast. And if the Sun are rolling, she can rack up these numbers real quick. So I haven't bet this, but I was close to. But there is a risk there that I can really see. And the Sun, they've been hot and cold as of late. They're not dominant. And they're starting to lose their place in the seedings. So I feel like they could come out here and put a number on the Sky. And if they do, Alyssa Thomas probably fills up the stat sheet. But given I'm uncertain, I didn't choose to bet it, but the research checks out. If you're just purely betting on numbers and stuff, the under makes a whole lot of sense. Jumping into the next game, we've got the Sparks versus the Mystics. So this will be an interesting game to bet on. Both teams underperforming so far in the year, so hopefully it's close, which means all these key players are going to play a lot more minutes. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. So who we're looking at in this game, I've got a bet here on Brittany Sykes. And we're looking at over 16.5 points and assists for Brittany Sykes. Sorry, 17.5. Mustn't be able to read. Now, Brittany Sykes, if you look at this graph here, she's hitting 6 of her last 10. I don't care about none of that. These last 3 games are the main things I'm worried about. So Brittany Sykes, she came back from injury post the Olympic break. She's played 3 games. Now, you can see here that her minutes have steadily increased, 22, 23, and 29 minutes, most recently against Seattle. Now, she's failed to hit this line in all 3 games, but given her increase in minutes, I like our chances here. Now, she's covered this line in 24 out of 34 games last season when she plays a minimum of 28 minutes, and I think that's where she's going to get to. She'll get back to a full complement in minutes of this one. 71% hit rate last season when she gets the minutes. Now that she's back, hopefully she continues to see the minutes. Now, in the 3 games since she's returned from her injury, I did a bit of a dive into this, but in these 3 games, she's led the Mystics in shot attempts twice. The volume has been there. Her shot percentage hasn't been great. You take a look right here. The volume is there. It was there in 2 out of the 3, but her percentages have been off 33, 25, and 31%. So she's played the Lynx twice and Seattle. Both of these teams are very strong defensively. Now she's up against a Spark team who have a bottom 3 defensive ranking, and they do struggle defending her play type. As a pick and roll ball handler and as someone who likes to get out in transition, the Spark also allow the 4th most points and the 5th most assists to guard, so the matchup is suitable. So Brittany Sykes, looking to roll with you. Keep up the volume and get your minutes, young girl. And next one, it's also a bet. We're looking at Rakaya Jackson. I know that she's been a pretty popular pick around the web, which I've noticed. And a lot of people have been looking at her points prop. Not me, though. I'm looking at her rebounds prop today. Over 4.5 boards. This is a plus money play, and it's a great play for something that's been hitting quite well as of late. Now, if you were to look at her season data, you'll see that she's only hit this line of 4.5 rebounds in 50% of her games. She averages 3.8 rebounds on the year. But she is starting to see a lot more court time post the Cam Brink injury. So if I filter this, games without Cam Brink, we can see that she's hit in 9 out of her last 13 games because Brink is gone. Now, More recently, we've started to see more minutes from her where she's getting 30 plus minutes. So I like to filter this out with games where she's played 30 plus minutes. You can see that she's covered this line in 5 out of 5 games without Cameron Brink, averaging 5.8 rebounds. So I think the hit rate is really nice here. The Spark, they only have a 4-woman rotation in their front court. So they do lack size, so I expect Rick Action to continue to see a high volume of minutes. Now, both of these teams also sit in the bottom 4 in terms of field goal percentage, so there should be a decent volume of missed shots and rebound opportunities as well. So hopefully those rebound opportunities bounce her way. We can cash this plus money play for Rick Jackson. Pump on the brakes real quick to give you guys a VIP update. So if you're in the VIP or you're interested to know how VIP is going, then this is for you. If you just want the free picks, feel free to skip ahead. Now, for my VIP members and my potential VIP members, I don't hide from my losses here. We lost about 3 units on that last set on the WNBA. We had McCowan. She had the game of her life. We bet her unders. Looked like Asia Wilson out there. And being honest with you, I'd take that bet every day of the week. That was clearly an overperformance for her. Unfortunate, but at the end of the day, a shit bet from me. I also bet on Vandersloot. That was a rush play after Sabrina news came out. My emotions did get the best of me on that one. It's a perfect example of shit betting right there. Thankfully, MLB is crushing it. So we made 3 units profit from the 4 bets thanks to a juicy parlay, taking the Yankees and the total runs under with the Braves and the total runs under. I've been conservative with my staking on the MLB, but it's really started to turn a corner this week, so you might see more 1-unit plays in there. If you're interested to know how VIP is tracking this week, 9 units in the profit. Being transparent with you, I'm aiming for 5 units profit a week and about 20 units profit a month. It's safe to say that things are going well. Now, all the picks for this 4-game slate on the WA have already been sent to you if you're in the VIP. So good luck to us if you're riding with me. And if you haven't joined, feel free to check it out. 7-day free trial. Just use the code TASTE when you sign up to my VIP and you'll get your first 7 days free. Let's get back into it, boys. All right, so we're into the next matchup. It's the Mercury versus the Dream. These guys just played each other not too long ago. These back-to-back sets creep me out, but I've got a lot of leans in this game that I want to share. I did research on all these key players. Didn't ultimately bet on a lot of them, but for a lot of you guys, it might be really helpful for you. So the first one we're looking at here is Alicia Gray. And for Alicia Gray, looking at over 15.5 points for her. She's fresh of smoking the Mercury for 21 points in their last matchup. She's actually scored 20-plus points against them in both games this year, 22 and 21 points. Now, she's exceeded 15.5 points in 4 out of her last 5 games against the bottom 5 defenses for points allowed. She's averaging 19.2 points per game against the teams who don't play defense. If we think about how she scores, it's a lot of stuff in transition. She gets to the free throw line, and she's a pretty good spot-up shooter. The Mercury, they do rank towards the bottom of the league at defending these play types, so it's safe to say that the matchup suits. Now, part of the reason why this is a lean for me is that Ryan Howard, who also plays on this Atlanta Dream team, also has a similar play type, and she's also smoked the Mercury in both games this season. So I was a little bit uncertain. Does one of them shit the bed, or do they just both keep producing because they have been against this Mercury squad? I was a little bit iffy, if you know what I mean. So that's one lean. I still might eventually bet on it, but we'll see. The next one, whilst we're speaking about her, let's go with Ryan Howard. And for Ryan Howard, looking at over 2.5 3-pointers made. Now, I actually took this as a bet, so this is not a lean. I think I've already bet this one, and I bet it because it's pretty much close to plus money. So I do like the odds for it. Now, she just smoked the Mercury with 4 3-pointers made in the matchups this season. She hit him with 5 3-pointers in the first game, then 4 3-pointers earlier this week. So the Mercury, they do allow the second most 3-pointers made this season, but guards and overall. Now, since Ryan Howard has returned from the Olympic break, check this shit out when we look at her attempts. She's attempted 9, 8, and 13 3-pointers made in these games. She's covered this line in 2 out of the 3. The game where she did go under was against the Connecticut Sun, where she shot 2 from 8. But the Connecticut Sun are one of the better defensive teams in this competition. And now she's back at it again against the Mercury, who are bottom 4 defensively overall in their rankings. So this matchup is a lot easier than what she had faced. She went 4 from 13 against Phoenix in the last one. She didn't even shoot that well, 31%. The volume is excellent. So if she can get 10 3-pointers in this game, and even if she shoots 30%, she'll be cashing 3 3-pointers made. So at home, against Phoenix once again. I think Ryan Howard does some work in this. The next play in this game, we're looking at Jordan Canada. Now, for Jordan Canada, I did have a lean for her the last time these guys played, and I was leaning to over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. Would have been sweaty as hell. She finished on 11. It's still cash, but whew, that was close. But for this particular game, I love this. 3.5 rebounds for her. Another one that is close to plus money, Jordan Canada. You can see here on the graph in the 3 games since she's returned from her injury, she's recorded 4, 4, and 5 rebounds. Looking at a close look at a minute, she's getting close to 30 minutes a night, and she's up against the Mercury, who do allow the second most rebounds to guards this season. She did just nail 5 rebounds against them, so if she can maintain what she's been doing, this should be easy money. So I'm on Jordan Canada to go over 3.5 rebounds. Hopefully she plays at least 30 minutes, and that this dream team continue to stifle the offense for the Phoenix Mercury. Speaking of the Phoenix Mercury, I do have a couple of leans. You might be interested in betting them, so I wanted to share them with you. We've got Natasha Cloud, and we're looking at her PRA, and we're looking at the under. So under 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now, if you've been tailing along with me, we actually just bet the under her PRA in the last game. Cash really easy, 6 points, 8 rebounds, and only 2 assists. Why'd we bet? Because this matchup is absolutely terrible for her. She's gone under in 2 straight games against them, 14 in the first game and 16 in the last game. The matchup is awful. A lot of pick and roll offense here for Tasha Cloud, which the Dream are really good at taking care of. It's only a lean because I don't like betting a lot of these back-to-back sets because weird shit can happen. So I'm a bit on the fence on Natasha Cloud. The research from the last video does not change. That matchup for her is awful, and she can't get it done against them so far this year. Does she make the adjustments and potentially go over? Yeah, I think she does make some adjustments, but is it going to be good enough to take her over that line? That I do not know, because what makes it difficult about this game is almost every single player from the Mercury sucked except for Clear Copper. They all sucked. So someone's going to have to flip the switch, you know what I'm saying? But the next one that I want to talk through is Diana Taurasi. And looking at under 21.5 PRA for her. So similar to Natasha Cloud, this matchup is absolutely awful for her. She scored 3 points and finished with 4 assists with a PRA of 7 in that last game against the Dream. And it's not like she wasn't on there. She played 30-plus minutes. 30 minutes, only finished with 3 points and 4 assists. She was absolutely awful. I had a look at her season data, and I can see that she's had poor games before this season. She's had some pretty bad games. But what I have noticed is that she always bounces back. It's not like you see her have a bad game and then it continues to stay that way. She'll have a bad game, and then she does tend to bounce back. So the risk for me is that she was awful. That's probably the worst game she's played all year. She was awful. She has potential to bounce back. This is a back-to-back set where the same teams play each other twice in a row, and weird shit just happens. So we had the perfect read on this last time, and even though all the data stacks up, weird shit happens. So probably only bet on the Dream players for this particular game. Jumping into the last game, it's the Las Vegas Aces versus the Minnesota Lynx. The first player that I'm looking at here is Courtney Williams. And for Courtney Williams, I'm looking at her over in her points plus assists. Now, we did just run her points in the last time these guys played earlier this week. We took her over 10.5 points. This line's now moved to 11.5, which is fair enough. She had a stellar game. She scored 22 points in that one. I was hesitant to run this one back, given the whole back-to-back set bullshit that I've been talking about. But this matchup is too good for me to pass up. So Courtney Williams, she scores her points in the pick and roll, and she loves to pull up from mid-range. 60% of her buckets come from the mid-range, and she's up against an Aces team that is the bottom 2 in defending the pick and roll, and they are dead last in their defensive rating against mid-range jump shots. They could make an adjustment to slow her down here, which means they need to either hedge screens, which means Asia Wilson needs to get her big ass up. She can't keep playing drop coverage. She either needs to get up and hedge these screens, or whoever's defending her needs to go over these screens. And if they do, that's going to open up her passing game for some easy assists. Now, she also hit a lot of pull-up jumpers in the fast break and in transition. I just don't think the Aces can make enough adjustments to stop her from scoring. They can make some adjustments to slow her down, but those are going to result in more assists for her, which is why I'm going with points plus assists for Courtney Williams in this one. Now, looking at all the other players in this game, I'll be honest with you. I had a look at Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young, but I couldn't tell you what happens to those girls in this game. The Lynx, they should continue to play the same way defensively on Asia to limit her ability to take shots and create an offense. But at the same time, the Aces should be creating different schemes to get her better ball. Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum both have difficult matchups, but they both played out of their mind in that last game. So it'd be interesting to see what adjustments do the Lynx make. So it's a little bit hard for me to make any predictions on any of those three players. Chances are the script that I thought would happen in the last game probably happens in this game, but I'm not game enough to bet that. So for Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Asia Wilson, I couldn't tell you what to do. I've got no leans, thoughts, or opinions. I'm just waiting for them to get into another game so I can bet on them. But what I do know for sure is that those three girls will be the first, second, and third options on this team. They might be the fourth and fifth as well. But what that means is someone like Chelsea Gray won't be eating much at all. So the last play that I'm taking here is for Chelsea Gray, and I'm looking at under 8.5 points for Chelsea Gray. So Chelsea Gray, she scores in the pick and roll as a ball handler, and she shoots at the mid-range. But for Chelsea Gray, she's up against a Lynx squad that is top 4 in defending those play types and that position on the floor against similar defensive teams like Seattle, Connecticut, Chicago, including her last game against Minnesota. She's only covered this line in 1 out of 6 games, averaging 5.7 points per game. On the season, she averages 7.4 points per game, shooting 39% from the field and only 7 shot attempts. She did take 7 shot attempts the last time these teams played. She only made 1 of them. So even if we do see an improvement in her field goal percentage, up to 30-40%, if she's still only taking 7 shots, she's going to need to shoot a lot better than that in order to cover the line. Also, that last game that these teams played, that was high scoring as fuck. The offense was electric. If you're betting on rebounds props, you probably lost. But given the way that these back sets have been going, this should be a lower scoring game, which does support the underplay out here for Chelsea Gray. So that's the last pick that I'm on. I don't think I've got anything links to take you through. If you did make it this far into the video, just let me know. Out of all the picks that I've shared today, which one do you think is most likely to cash? And which one do you think is the worst one? Let me know. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. I appreciate y'all. Peace.